Forget all you ever learnt about the renowned William Smith, no one knows the truth about his life. He secretly sent his co-stars to the emergency room and was a Cold War spy, but nobody suspected a thing. Many are unaware of William's genuine personality, despite his reputation for playing strong guys on TV. In many ways, William's professional life mirrored his personal life. Nearly every role he played, from Rich Man, Poor Man to Laredo and Hawaii Five-0, involved some aspect of his own personality. William is just like everyone else, right? To this day, why does he appear to be such a mystery? Rest assured, we will reveal the details of this renowned actor's life. William Smith is more apt to be called a jack of all trades, master of none than anything else. He was a volunteer firefighter, a professor at UCLA, and a man who learned 5 languages. His duties during the Korean War included working as an intelligence analyst and interrogator for the Russian side. Beyond all that, he's a world-class bodybuilder who performs incredible athletic feats. On one occasion, he reverse curled 163 pounds and completed 5,100 sit-ups in 5 hours. Plus, you could recognize him from the covers of many weightlifting publications. So, how did he become a legendary actor in Hollywood? Let's go full circle and find out William's starting point. If you've watched any of his films in the last 70 years or so, you've probably noticed how ruggedly handsome he is. His roles often feature him as a hero, the most macho guy in America, and his physique is sculpted to perfection. He created an indelible impression on American show business thanks to his magnetic presence, which landed him job after role. Over 300, precisely. The public has no idea how he climbed the Hollywood ladder. In fact, he was pursuing a PhD before landing his most significant part. That information about him continues to stun people to this day. Although it may be surprising, many actors and actresses don't genuinely envision themselves in front of the camera before they achieve fame. If you could have gone back in time and told William that he would become a great actor, he would have been completely shocked. Originating from Columbia, Missouri. When William was 8 years old, on March 24, 1933, he began his acting career as an uncredited extra, but he soon became enamored with the craft after spending time with legendary performers like Judy Garland and Lon Chaney Jr. The enchantment of cinema captivated little William. He got his start early, and it paid off with parts in cult classics like Meet Me in St. Louis, The Song of Bernadette, and The Ghost of Frankenstein. In Hollywood, he was already a household name at such a young age. He had a promising career ahead of him because his brilliance was readily apparent. However, his career in acting came to a halt following those assignments. Thus, young William's options for that route diminished. Things are about to get interesting now. William enlisted in the Air Force when he was 18 years old and played a pivotal role while serving. Russian, German, French, and Serbo-Croatian are just a few of the languages he became proficient in. Secret missions over Russia and other adjacent nations were part of his service during the Korean War. His exceptional performance earned him top-secret clearance, and he intended to continue his intelligence work after completing degrees at institutions such as UCLA, the University of Munich, the Sorbonne in Paris, and Syracuse University. William continued even after all that, which is to say that he accomplished a great deal for someone of his age. Not only that, but he was athletic and a bodybuilder. As a reward for his victory in the Global 200-pound arm wrestling championship, the Air Force bestowed upon him a weightlifting title. The record for reverse curling one's own body weight is also held by him. In addition to his martial arts expertise, he possessed black belts in Kempakrit and Kung Fu. Anyone who read bodybuilding magazines in the 60s and 70s would remember Williams for his astonishing physique. He was more than simply a towering 6 feet 2 inches tall. He excelled in a wide range of athletic pursuits. In his spare time, he would rip up motocross tracks, play semi-professional football in Germany, or go skiing. He also received numerous awards for his extraordinary life. A Lifetime Achievement Award was bestowed upon him by the Academy of Bodybuilding and Fitness in 1995. Meanwhile, he became a member of the Muscle Beach Venice Bodybuilding Hall of Fame in 2010. We can already tell that his upbringing had a significant impact on his acting career. You see, he became a director's darling when he began landing parts in Hollywood films. His ability to both land and parry blows was well known to them. You may be familiar with his part from the dramatic bare-knuckle brawl he had with Clint Eastwood in Any Which Way You Can. William acknowledged the fact that the fight scene was shot without any stuntmen, stating that it was one of the longest stunts he had ever filmed, adding to its notoriety as the most unforgettable fight scene ever. The intensity of the scene was also a contributing factor. Although that isn't the end of it. Also in 1970, in the film Darker Than Amber, he had a brutal brawl with Rod Taylor. As a whole, the audience was astounded by what appeared to be the most authentic battle sequence ever shot in Hollywood. It was authentic, too. In every combat sequence, neither William nor Rod used a stunt double. So, here is what transpired. The brutality of the battle was shocking for its period, according to director Steven Soderbergh, and he was absolutely right. When Rod swung at William while filming, William reacted just as violently, adding an unexpected twist to the situation. An actual brawl broke out from what had begun as a meticulously staged spectacle. William ended up with 3 fractured ribs as a result of that. Where does Rod stand? He ended up with a fractured nose. Even William's combat scenes weren't enough to understand him now. Being an actor, he had an inherent charisma that no one else could match. He brought an unfiltered energy to every role he portrayed. He was thus recognized as one of the most adaptable actors in Hollywood. William was being serious. He was there. He worked out under the tutelage of legendary tough guy Jock Mahoney and trained with Larry Scott, the first Mr. Olympia. Once upon a time, he was also a professional stuntman. And he declined the role of Tarzan. The Stuntmen's Association elevated William to the status of honorary member due to his high esteem. Not only that, but he was a boxer in the military. He spent 8 years honing his Sansu Kung Fu skills under Jimmy Woo and his Kempo techniques with Ed Parker. Have I already mentioned that he was a champion arm wrestler? The list of this man's accomplishments is endless. Having stated that, I bet you're thinking this same thing at the moment. Suppose William has an unparalleled record of service to his nation, a multitude of muscular accomplishments, and a genius for language. What led him to pursue acting as a career? William was up in Missouri in an environment that exemplified the rugged beauty of the American West. Despite relocating to Southern California with his family, his infatuation with the Wild West kept him on the road. It was at this time that William landed his first roles, so you might say this is where his career began. One of Hollywood's most prestigious studios, MGM, extended an offer to him 10 years later, when he was 18 years old. Back then, he was on his way to a job with the government. He knew he had to commit to a single line of work, and that was in the film industry. So now William found himself back in the thrilling realm of Hollywood. William became famous on television shortly after he began playing adult parts. Shows like 1961's The Asphalt Jungle and 1965's action-packed Laredo allowed him to display his flexibility. Gunsmoke, Perry Mason, The Virginian, Batman, Lassie, and The Mod Squad were among the great shows on which he had notable guest appearances. His breakout role came in 1965 on NBC's Laredo, playing the part of Texas Ranger Joe Riley. His portrayal as a courageous lawman, evoking the rough spirit of the Western genre, captivated audiences for 2 exciting seasons. Williams' influence on television history persisted long after the show ended in 1967. From his modest origins on a ranch in Missouri to his rise to fame as a beloved TV star, Williams' story exemplifies unwavering resolve and enthusiasm. He maintained the spirit of adventure and Wild West flavor in every part he played. William played a terrifying antagonist who confronts Amanda Blake's Miss Kitty in the 1972 Gunsmoke episode Hostage, and he gave a strong performance. After William's character shockingly shoots Miss Kitty twice in the back, the tension builds. William was already well known as one of the greatest bad guy actors of his day, but this dramatic scene cemented his position in film noir history. The complicated and dark characters that William portrayed so well in Gunsmoke drew the audience into the story's emotional depth. This iconic part was a watershed moment in Williams' stellar career, and it had an effect on the show that was recognized for examining the harsh realities of the Wild West. The muscular actor William, who became famous for his role in Gladiators, has maintained a long-lasting friendship with Ron Harper, who is known for his performance in The Planet of the Apes. Their relationship has only deepened in the 5 to 10 years leading up to Williams' death. Williams shifted her focus from television to major motion pictures in the 1980s. In 1981, he co-starred with Arnold Schwarzenegger in Conan the Barbarian, and in 1983, he collaborated with Francis Ford Coppola on Rumblefish and The Outsiders, both of which were based on works by C. Hinton. He had previously been opposite Clint Eastwood in Any Which Way You Can Red Dawn, 1984, starring Charlie Sheen and C. Thomas Howell. He wed Joanne, his second wife, towards the decade's close, and the two remained married until his death. If William really did live up to his wicked portrayal, one would assume he was as imposing and violent in real life. Off-screen, he remained focused on his career, despite his frequent roles as villains, outlaws, and other villainous characters. Absence of controversies and raucous parties. Particularly in those iconic battle sequences, he was renowned for being punctual, dependable, and simply giving it his all. He continued to act casually even during the violent confrontations involving Clint Eastwood, Rod Taylor, and himself. He likely considered it a component of his job. The work was hard, but William was committed to it. Challenges were his favorite. The art was more important to him than stardom or dramatic roles. William still exhibited some unusual behavior in his private life. He remained out of the spotlight as he concentrated on bodybuilding. He remained remarkably fit into his twilight years. He also performed his own stunts, such as bending nails and ripping phone books in half. He was the one who had to push himself, not anyone else. He may not have had the wild and crazy life of an actor, but he was a legend in his own right thanks to his calm perseverance and commitment to his craft. William, unlike some performers, never let himself become a parody of his own popularity. He brought genuine charisma to every role he played, eliminating the need for any off-screen controversy. William frequently played bad guys, gang bosses, and enforcers because to his large frame and gruff guy attitude. Because of this, he had far fewer opportunities to showcase his acting abilities. He yearned to be properly considered for parts that showcased diversity but felt trapped in those roles. Smith experienced prejudice and typecasting as a result of his appearance and demeanor. Rather than concentrating on his acting abilities, casting directors would occasionally pay more attention to his appearance and body. He played the villain Falconetti in Rich Man, Poor Man, which is one of his most famous performances. Brutal and twisted, Falconetti is a hitman who does really screwed up stuff. He's not your average villain. His portrayal of Falconetti is so convincing and vile that viewers could not help but identify with the actor. He seemed to be overly adept at being terrible. Some of his followers were so enraged by his performance that they attempted to physically harm him, mistakenly believing he was as violent as he appeared on film. It must have taken William a lot of time and effort to make Falconetti look so authentic. Almost fooled viewers into thinking it wasn't a TV show. The worst part is still to come. Although he barely appears in 4 episodes in Book 1, his character becomes the center of attention due to the impact he creates. Simply to keep the plot moving, they brought him back for Rich Man, Poor Man Book 2. Because of this, his character got even more screen time, and his irate supporters had even more cause to despise him. It takes a special kind of actor to make an audience believe the villain is genuine. William snuck in a couple more Batman parts from countries all over the globe while filming Laredo. The final episode of the 1967 season featured him as Adonis, a henchman of Minerva. The final episode of the series, titled Minerva, Mayhem and Millionaires, broadcast on March 14, 1968. William found other interests, such as poetry writing, in his older years. The Poetic Works of William Smith was published by him in 2009, revealing an alternate aspect of his inventiveness to us. There are 2 volumes that make up this, his debut poetry collection. This collection shows a more vulnerable side of him, despite his reputation as one of Hollywood's fiercest men. Images of him with his beloved Joanne, who stuck by him through the ups and downs of Hollywood, and a long list of film and TV credits make it a must-have for fans. His acting roles and bodybuilding exploits are secondary concerns. Instead of focusing on weightlifting in this poetry collection, William fully immerses himself in writing. His skill with rhyme makes reading it enjoyable, but the best part is how he makes you feel every emotion, good and bad, throughout his life, which creates for poetry that is genuinely honest and raw. Reading these poems will inevitably bring to mind all the many cinematic characters that William created. Many of his admirers who have read his books have described it as being an immersion in his world. With a flurry of activity in the 1970s, William was involved in a number of film and TV projects. He played a pivotal role in the Rockford Files, which inspired the protagonist to pursue a career in private investigation, and his performance stood out. It was a sight to behold his performance. A stellar cast of guest stars and supporting actors graced the show. You could see his versatility and ease of transition from hero to villain in this series. He is frequently praised as one of the top bad guy actors, and he stands at over 6 feet tall and weighs about 200 pounds. His performance in the pilot, which featured a character who enjoys murdering without feeling anything, truly established the tone for the series. After 2 decades had passed, in 1999, Bill made an appearance on Walker, Texas Ranger, and Nash Bridges. He got to star with other macho men like Chuck Norris and Don Johnson in both, and they were huge hits in the 90s. Some interesting voiceover jobs came Williams' way because of her unique voice. As Draga in the 2002 Justice League animated series, he created quite an impression. Warworld was a 2-part episode in which this character made an appearance. Over time, Williams' numerous roles were a result of his unwavering commitment. Reviews were very positive, praising his versatility and skill as an artist. Though he came across as a rough character, William demonstrated his versatility as an artist. Smith announced his retirement in 2014, but he didn't make his last film appearance until a cameo in Steve Carell's 2020 comedy Irresistible. This demonstrated that Smith's charisma and talent remained captivating even as he aged. Smith embodied gruff masculinity throughout his career, sharing the screen with some of Hollywood's hardest leading men. Before the legendary Marlboro Man ads were taken off air, he was also the final face linked with them. Smith was laid to rest in Woodland Hills, California's motion picture and television country house and hospital. The reason for his demise was kept secret by his wife, Joan, shielding that particular detail from prying eyes. William E. Smith III, his daughter Sharon Cavalli, and his devoted wife of 31 years are his surviving family members.